in the media conference with Lal Goel, which is brought to you by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV, News Gaon Se, Samvad Sarokar News, Organ Donation India Foundation and Gyan. Our endeavor is to enlighten you every day with a new topic. And today, our topic is art and culture, problems and prospects. A nation's culture resides in the hearts and in the soul of its people, said Mahatma Gandhi. We have received from one of our viewer one poem which he has composed only for today's program. His name is Mr. Paramatmanand. He is the feature editor of Navbharat. This is in Hindi. साहित्य संगीत और कला विहीन होता मनुष्य वह पशु से भी हीन कला और संस्कृति की उन्नति से कभी ना होगा कोई भी दीन कला गुणों से जो है विहीन वह समाज का शोषक है मस्तक ऊंचा सदा रहेगा जो संस्कृति का पोषक है कला और संस्कृति का है तो क्षेत्र विशाल है नहीं समस्या कोई धरो इसे निज भाल द वर्ड art comes from the Latin word ars, which loosely translated means arrangement. Indian art consists of a variety of art forms, including painting, sculpture, poetry, and textile arts such as woven silk. Geographically, it spans the entire Indian subcontinent, including what is now India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bhutan, and eastern Afghanistan. A strong sense of design is characteristic of Indian art and can be observed in its modern and traditional forms. The origin of Indian art can be traced to prehistoric settlements in the 3rd millennium BC. On its way to modern times, Indian art has had cultural influences as well as religious influences such as Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism, and Islam. In spite of this complex mixture of religious traditions, generally, the prevailing artistic style at any time and place has been shared by the major religious groups. In historic art, sculpture in stone and metal, mainly religious, has survived the Indian climate better than other media and provides most of the best remains. Many of the most important ancient finds that are not in the carved stones comes from surroundings their reason rather than India itself. Indian funeral and philosophic traditions exclude grave goods, which is the main source of ancient art in other cultures. Indian artist styles historically followed Indian religions out of the subcontinent, having an especially large influence in Tibet, Southeast Asia, and China. Indian art has itself received influences at times, especially from Central Asia and Iran and Europe. Indian culture is the heritage of social norms, ethical values, traditional customs, belief systems, political systems, artifacts, and technologies that originated in or are associated with the Indian subcontinent. The term also applies beyond India to countries and cultures whose histories are strongly connected to India by immigration, colonization, or influence, particularly in South Asia and Southeast Asia. India's languages, religions, dance, music, architecture, food, and customs differ from place to place within the country. Indian culture, often labeled as a combination of several cultures, has been influenced by a history that is several millennia old, beginning with the Indus Valley civilization. Many elements of Indian culture, such as Indian religions, mathematics, philosophy, cuisines, languages, dance, music, and movies have had a profound impact across the Indosphere, Greater India, and the world. Indian origin religions, Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, and Sikhism are all based on the concepts of dharma and karma. Ahimsa, the philosophy of non-violence, is an important aspect of native Indian faiths, whose most well-known proponent was Mahatma Gandhi, who used civil disobedience to unite India during the Indian independence movement. This philosophy further inspired Martin Luther King Jr. during the American Civil Rights Movement. Foreign origin religion, including Arabic religions such as Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, are also present in India. Given the age and generation of today, it is not a wonder to state that our culture heritage are slowly fading away. According to Amrit Sen, the Indian-born Nobel laureate in economics, the culture of modern India is a complex blend of its historical traditions, influences from the effects of colonial rule over centuries, and current Western culture, both collaterally and dialectically. This is a considerably inclination in the Western countries to distance and highlight the differences in Indian culture from the mainstream of Western traditions rather than discover and show similarities. Western writers and media usually misses in important ways crucial aspects of Indian culture and traditions. The deep-seated heterogeneity of Indian traditions in different parts of India is neglected in these homogenized descriptions of India. India is characterized by more ethnic and religious groups than most other countries. Aside from the roughly 2,000 castes, there are 8 major religions and 22 official languages. It is the second most populous country and the largest democracy in the world, with more than 1.3 billion people, 28 states, and 8 union territories. Now, to discuss today topic, that is art and culture, problems and prospects, we have a very elite panel, experienced, learned, those who are authority in their field. And I would like to invite my first guest, and he is Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, IAS. Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, IAS, is one-man expert commission on labor to prepare an action plan for the welfare and development of the workforce in the context of COVID-19. He was former head of disaster management, Government of India, and Central Draft Relief Commissioner, Government of India. He is also the principal advisor, Government of India Heritage Project. He was the Vice Chancellor of National Museum, University of Delhi. He has authored 40 books in English, Malayalam, and Hindi, including novels, short stories, and essays. 4 of his books have become bestsellers. 4 books on Vastu and architecture and 1 book on housing received prestigious the Sharjah International Book Fair Award. Dr. Bose is a housing expert, innovator, writer, author, orator, and visionary. The path-breaking institutions set up by him, such as Nimriti Kendra, Building Center, District Tourism Council, and Habitat Alliance, have been replicated at the state, national, and global level. He was the head of the prestigious Supreme Court Committee on the Treasures of Sri Padmabha Swami Temple. Dr. Bose addressed United Nations General Assembly and specialized sessions 5 times on various international issues. Dr. Bose is a recipient of 31 national and international awards, including United Nations Global Best Practice Award. He also received prestigious Jawaharlal Nehru Fellowship. Kerala government termed him Lord of Ideas. Former Prime Minister Mr. Manmohan Singh called him inspired civil servant, and our Honorable Prime Minister Mr. Modi called him man of ideas. Welcome, Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, on our show. Dr. Bose, you are closely associated with art and culture. You were the Vice Chancellor of National Museum, University of Delhi, as well as you are right now the Principal Advisor, Government of Indian Heritage Project. Now, we would like to know from you your views about the art and culture, problems and prospects. Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, IAS, please.
Thank you, Mr. Goel. In fact, I would like to listen to the practicing artists who are on the panel today. I will confine myself to the presentation of a few recommendations about art, culture, and heritage. I would certainly love to incorporate in the recommendations any new ideas that would certainly come from the distinguished panelists today. With this brief introduction, the Commission started its work on the 1st of May. The Commission's mandate was basically to look into the problems and prospects of labor.
Dr. Bose, your net is weak. Dr. Bose,
in India.
Dr. Bose, sorry, your internet connection is weak. You have to change the position or see that net is weak today. At your place. We can't hear you properly. So I think, as you said rightly, that we first listen to all those who are practicing, and meanwhile, if you can get your net proper, then it will be good. Or you are, or please check if any other device is working on the same net, because net is a problem.
Is it okay now?
Now it is okay. Yes, Dr. Bose.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. So I would like to limit my traffic on the stage, as Shakespeare would call, to the presentation of a few recommendations from the report that is submitted to the government about India's soft power, that is art, culture, and heritage. First things first, there are short-term and long-term recommendations in this report. The short-term recommendations dwell upon the immediate need of the artists who have been very badly hit by the pandemic. The Commission has recommended the assured basic income. In hours of crisis like this, when there is a disaster, when the artists are out of job and income, government has to step in and directly transfer to their accounts what is called the assured basic income, so that they can tide over the crisis. A second thing is to have comprehensive health insurance for the artists. Many of the artists, particularly the dance teachers and those who are aged, they find it very difficult to take care of their health needs. Therefore, a national insurance scheme, health insurance scheme for them. You know, apart from the income, what is more important to an artist is recognition. We have included a hierarchy of awards, 250 national awards, to be given to the artists depending on their merit. Now, certain new institutions have also been proposed in the report. One is the establishment of the Art Authority of India, which will be a high-power body which will take into account the various developmental needs of the artists of this country. This authority should be sufficiently funded, like the Airport Authority of India, or for instance, HUDCO in the field of housing, or the Sports Authority of India. We have also suggested a full-fledged commission, like the Human Rights Commission or the Labor Commission. There should be a high-powered authority to listen to the grievances of the art world and take immediate decisions. Another institution which has been recommended is the creation of a National Social Security Board. This is to ensure a minimum pension, healthcare needs, children's education, housing, and various needs of the art community. It is recommended that there is an insurance-linked pension scheme for the artists, where the artists, the state government, and the central government should meet the premium. And once the artist retires after 60, a minimum pension as of now, art and culture centers in other countries. If India has to play a lead role in the world in soft power, we should have our presence in various countries. Therefore, Indian art and culture centers are proposed to be set up in different countries in the world. Yet another thing is that artists, many prominent artists, can be selected and posted in our embassies firsthand what Indian art and culture is. And these artists who are posted abroad will be able to lead the transition which will spread Indian art throughout the world. Then there is a proposal to establish an international television channel like the BBC, which will promote Indian art and culture and which will be rooted in Indian heritage. There are so many other institutions which are proposed, which for want of time, I do not want to list out here. Now we should organize national and international art festivals. See, for instance, the Binale, which is successfully being masterminded by Bose Krishnamachari, Binale. I think there are so many such initiatives. Now, there is also a proposal to establish recreational and entertainment centers in workplaces, wherever there are people, wherever there's a congregation, be it in the hospital, be it in the factory, be it anywhere, there should be recreational centers where art and culture can be projected before the need. Then set up heritage villages, art villages in all the states in India, so the artists can come together, practice, promote, propagate, and market their produce. Organize interstate and international cultural exchange programs, because Indian art has to be shown, the best of Indian art should be showcased to the whole world. And young artists who are in front of me, like the panelists here, they should also be able to imbibe whatever is best in other countries. Now, more than that, we have no register, history of artists, and each artist with whatever talents they have should be registered there, and they should be given a unique identity card, so that various benefits which are given to them under this report, once it is passed by the government of India and the state governments, should go to them without any problem. Now, unique identity card we already mentioned. Then professionalized education, art education. You see now, engineering, medicine, law, chartered accountant, all these are professions. They are called doctors, engineers, or advocates, or chartered accountants. But artists, there is no standardization, there is no grading. So some of the artists who are excellent in their field get lost out because they don't know how, they do not have the university degree. And we have also recommended universities for traditional knowledge, because our traditional knowledge, particularly those that are represented by the Vishwakarma community and other traditional artisans, are being lost. We should revive our traditional knowledge, certify it, get it approved, and the authentic information about it has to flow to the outside world. Therefore, a series of universities have been proposed, which will promote and propagate, and we have to be the custodians of traditional knowledge in the country. Similarly, 105 recommendations have been given to the government of India, which is expected to promote the interests of the art world. Once this is accepted, there is a process in government. This has to be examined by an empowered committee, and various ministries will have to go through it. But once these recommendations come out, I think India will be able to boldly say that we have done our bit to the artist community. With 46.5% workforce in the country, I think art and culture should certainly occupy the center stage of post-COVID India. It is with this aim in mind that these 105 recommendations have been made. Certainly, we are open to more recommendations. Listening to the celebrities who are in the panel today, I think we'll be able to add a few more recommendations if need be, and modify a few of them depending on the need. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bose. Although your net was giving problem in between, but whatsoever you have mentioned, it was clearly heard by everyone. And what Dr. Bose has said is that as one-man expert commission of Government of India, which was initially proposed for the labor, but it was again, the scope was expanded, and now even the art and artists were included in that. And he says that he has already recommended, many recommendations have been sent to the government. Few are short-term and few are of long-term, and in which he has given the details whatsoever in the brief for the benefit, what are the benefits the artists are going to get, and which one is the like the soft power push for the soft power, which is very much required, where in the other countries the embassies, there should be somebody from the artist community who will be there as a art ambassador, and other benefits to enlighten the public at large there about the Indian art and culture, as well as he has mentioned about how he has planned to give the boost to the artists here in India, in which he has mentioned that one unique identity card to be given to all the artists, so that whatsoever the benefits are coming from the Government of India, they should go directly to those artists who are registered and who are having that unique identity card. And so on, proposal for opening more universities and to start the courses like in doctors or engineers or lawyers for the artist to be recognized properly. So what Dr. Bose says, that once these recommendations are going to be accepted, which is are now under the consideration by the empowerment committee, there's a process, and once it will be accepted, then definitely the art and artist will get a very good boost up and will definitely be benefited by these recommendations. Thank you very much, Dr. Bose, for giving the brief details about the recommendations. And I'm sure, because as you have mentioned about 108 or some odd figures you have given, so many recommendations have been given, especially for the art and culture and artists. So this will definitely going to benefit the much awaited and much in demand for the artists, because after all, they are performing, they are the custodian of the culture, art and culture of our country, for which is so our country is having this culture, traditional culture, and such a old culture. And I'm sure that this recommendation will give a boost up to this art and culture field. Thank you very much, Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, for giving your opening remark. Now I would like to move to my next guest, and he is Mr. Bose Krishnamachari. Mr. Bose is an internationally acclaimed painter, artist, curator based in Mumbai. He took his BFA from Sir J.J. School of Art, Mumbai in 1991, and then completed his MFA from Goldsmiths College, University of London in 2000. He was a recipient of award of the Kerala Lalita Kala Academy in 1985, British Council Travel Award in 1993, Mid-America Arts Alliance Award in 1996, Charles Wells India Trust Award in 1999-2000, Lifetime Fellowship Award, Kerala Lalit Kala Academy, and was first runner-up for the Bose Pesha Prize for Modern Art, New York in 2001. His work comprises vivid abstracts, paintings, figurates, drawings, sculptures, photography, multimedia installations, and architecture. Mr. Bose is the founder, member, and president of Kochi Binale Foundation and Binale Director of International Exhibition of Contemporary Art, Kochi Mujris Binale. Welcome, Mr. Bose Krishnamachari, on our show. Mr. Bose, you have already heard what Dr. C.V. Anand Bose has mentioned. And he gave the brief idea about what recommendation as a one-man expert commission he has put forward to the government of India, in which he has recommended so many things for the benefit to the arts and the artist. Now, we would like to know from you, art and culture, problems and prospects. Mr. Bose Krishnamachari, please.
Thank you, Mr. Goel. Thank you, Dr. Bose, other speakers. First of all, it's really an important subject when we look at soft power. Soft power, nobody really talk about in India. Most of the time, when we talk about soft power, they talk about art and culture. But we always forget it's one of the most important aspects of learning. Our first educational minister set it up, Since 2008, November 11 is celebrated as National Education Day, India, to commemorate the birth anniversary of independent India's first education minister, Maulana Abul Kalam Azad. November 11, when we talk about November 11 or education, art and culture was part of educational ministry. But nowadays, for example, when we talk about the problems, when we look for some CSR funds, social responsible funds, art doesn't come into it, really seriously, nobody except a couple of organizations like Charter Trust, they take it so seriously from the beginning. Art has so much value. They're very much aware. HCL is very much aware of the value of art and culture, the soft power. So education, when we talk about, when I submit a proposal, for example, if I submit a proposal to get some funds to make this Biennale happen, they said, art doesn't have, if there is something educational, then we could think about something. You know, that's the prime line we get it from each and every organization. You take banks or you take any corporate houses, that's what you're going to hear. So I think, you know, we need to, of course, there was a kind of study which was given in 2013 by the Tata Institute of Social Science. Art comes into the term of CSR funds, you know, but it is not really aware of by people. This, and also as an artist, I believe that, you know, many times when we have transportation, art transportation, we face lots of problems, lots of problems. So whenever we, you know, suppose if I'm living and working in US, if I'm sending an artwork to my native town, you know, when it comes to customs, there are so many rules, they block you in. And also you have to deposit, I think, 65% of the value of the object which you bring into your country. This is one of the reasons most of the art fairs is the place there money, economy, the growth can be discussed. But in art fairs also face lots of problem because of these rules and regulations to import and export duty, insurance, all those kind of things. I think it should be studied well, well in advance. And, you know, our transportation is much bigger side than, you know, regular transportation. It is important to, you know, have institutions which has a liberal ways of looking at educational spaces. You know, nowadays, I think, you know, like you take any kind of technological world. I would like to, I always say this example that a daily practices by Steve Jobs made him as an artist. He himself was a great artist, but, you know, when he started his company, Apple, he brought a great mind, Jana the knife. He didn't bring a technocrat. He brought a designer. He brought an artist. I think art and aesthetic cannot be taught, but it could be imbibed. It could be learned. It is almost like truth. Truth cannot be taught, isn't it? So I think it is important to have more and more residencies. When I talk more and more residencies, I mean art residencies, writers residencies, theater people's residencies. It's almost like an amalgamation of all kinds of thinkers and practitioners residency. I know some of the residencies having even collectors. They bring art collectors as residency program in London. So I think institution building, in a professionalizing galleries and museums. Unfortunately, we don't have much museum experts. You know, like everything is built by PWD people. You know, aesthetics are kept aside when it comes to building something great. You know, I haven't seen much competitions in India when you build a public architectural space. For example, when you are building a museum or a public library or even a bus stop, you know, I think that it is important to have urban landscape studies, urban architectural learning. All these aspects needs to be. When you talk about creative city building, it is one of the most important aspects is that, you know, how do you make creative cities? What are the elements which belongs to or contended with the creative spaces? You know, when there are studies, reports, when we look at it, you know, when you go to Barcelona, you know, why the city is so great? Because of its architectural monuments, architectural heritage, as well as art heritage. You know, these two things. One, you know, whenever you travel, all the guides and people say two, three names: Picasso, Antonio Gaudi, Miro, and Salvador Dali. These are the names, but the architecture world also you can see great names like Alva Caesar or many others. You know, there are so many great architects, you know, France. sorry, um, there are the reports we need to really look at it to how 80% of the travel is going to Paris or London. They are cultural tourists. Culture always brings, the soft power always brings much more wealth than the regular travelers, backpack travelers spaces. I think, it is important to have more spaces to see art. Why in our villages, why not in our rural areas doesn't have a museum or a gallery spaces? We have a lot of traditional museums. When we look at contemporary art museums in India, Bihar built a fantastic museum designed by Mackey. It is a huge building, but unfortunately doesn't have much experienced staff. I was talking to Mr. Mukherjee of Chhatrapati Shivaji Vastu Sangrahalaya. He was saying that at least they should have 600 people uh, working in that institutions, but how many directors, it is always important who is programming a great place. Program makes a place better, better and better. Kochi Biennial, for example, when I talk about Kochi Moses Denari or Kochi Biennial Foundation's work, its vertical play much more important role than just talking about the biennial. Biennial, of course, it's opened up to many, many people. It's become people's biennial. In first edition itself, we had 400,000 people visited the Biennale. When you compare Venice Biennial or contemporary Kochi Musiris Biennale, it's equally important in many ways. Comparison is always wrong, but like there are 316 biennials around the world. Some of the Biennale runs for 2 weeks or 1 week, but Kochi become one of the most important because it become one of the democratic spaces. It could erase the walls of the spaces, white Cuban spaces, and adopt to the city, adopt to the languages of the local. The local become regional, regional become national and international. It is also other way around as well. I think it is important to receive things, and Kochi become a receivers and always almost like a mirror. It received everything in front of it. I can go on talking about the biennial, but I just wanted to, before I say that, I'm putting together a show right now, which will open on 1st of March in Alapi and Ernakulam. This will be one of the largest show. I don't want to say largest show. There are 250 plus artists from Kerala. They're from around the world. Malayali artists are going to show in Alapi and in Kochi. This is more than 500,000 square feet of exhibition area inside and outside of Alapi, and 10,000 square feet of space in a weather-controlled space in Ernakulam Lalitkala Academy space. You cannot make a cultural program or a creative city without other people's help, without the urban understanding, without the landscape of the land, if we don't understand it. For example, Kerala has 44 rivers, and I don't know how many percentage of kids goes to the river. I think I heard somewhere it is less than 4% of the people goes to how to swim. They know less than 4%, which is a sad thing. I think nature is one of the most important learning space. As Mr. Goel said, Gandhi, or that Satyagraha to onwards, all kinds of conceptual great work is done by Gandhi. The conceptual ways of looking at art and conceptual ways of looking at heritage. It is all important in our human heritage. Is very important. The tangible faces and intangible faces. What can be brought into the city? I wanted to close it with one remark about a Biennale-like kind of program. Like for example, Gwangju in South Korea spent 13 million euro. The same equal amount is spent by Venice Biennale. Last edition of the Documenta. Every 5 years it takes place in Europe, it's in Germany, last edition, they spent 37.5 million euro to make these two cities biennial kind of model. It is called Documenta. So that exhibition, it's almost like 320 crores of project. So when we worked on this biennial in Kochi, we spent about 17 crore, which is less than $3 million. So these are the kind of, and it is spent by the city. I think it is important that we have 29 states. I heard it was 29 states. I think we should have 29 museums, contemporary art museums. We have Delhi National Museum, we have Bangalore and Bombay, but unfortunately, the city is swallowed by, these kind of cultural places. I think, we should create new spaces with a lot of educational aspects implemented with that. And I would like to see Dr. Bose's 105 points of view. If we could share it with us, I would like to go through it. And if necessary, I can send a proposal. How, we can build a greater space. And we have incredible wealth of traditional as well as contemporary wealth. But we don't know how to package it, how to present it, how to curate it. These are all important aspects. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bose Krishnamachari, for giving your views and what Mr. Bose has mentioned about that the art and culture is clubbed with the education ministry. And he says that when we talk about go to the proposal to the education ministries, they says, if you have a proposal for education, we can help you. Otherwise, for art and culture, there are no budget because it's not comes under for the promotion of the education. And he says, even for the customs, whenever there is a art fair, if any art or artifacts or the artist paintings are coming from abroad, the customs clearance is a very, very tough thing. And especially when they are asking 65% of the custom duty in advance to be deposited with the government for the value of that particular art. It's almost impossible. That's why the art fairs are not taking place in India, international art fairs, because of this reason. And he has given lots of problems which he has mentioned, that what the artists are facing in India. He has also said that the museums, art museums are required in all over the country. All the states at least have one art museum, which he says 29 states, so 29 art museums should be there. He says there are art museums in India, but the problem is the proper planning is not there. Even those who are the curators or who are heading the directors of that particular art museum, they are also facing lots of problems. So how they can give a proper service for the art lovers? And he says he's having, because he organized the Biennale, Kochi Biennale, in a very, very big way, where so many thousands of pupils, or rather lakhs of people have attended, and one of the best art Biennale in India or Asia. But without any proper cooperation from the government side. But he says he's very happy that Dr. Bose has recommended 100 odds for the art and artists, and he wants to see those recommendations so that he can also give his proposals which can be added, which Dr. C.V. Anand Bose can forward to the government of India. Thank you very much, Mr. Bose Krishnamachari, for giving your forthright views. I am sure these views of yours, what you have given, will definitely be taken care and seriously by Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, and he is going to recommend, because I know, because I am doing program almost every week with Dr. Bose, and whatsoever recommendations which he feels are genuine recommendations coming from the expert of that field like you, he always consider them seriously, recommend them to the government, and few of them are already approved by the government of India. And I'm sure that this recommendations which you are giving, Dr. Bose will definitely take necessary action. Thank you very much, Mr. Bose Krishnamachari, for giving your views. Now I would like to move to my next guest, and my next guest is Dr. Suresh Manimala. Dr. Suresh is a renowned lyricist, music director, and singer. Welcome, Dr. Suresh Manimala, on our show. Dr. Sureshwala is the chief consultant, Ajimo Consulting Kochi. He is management professional, media and digital cinema specialist. He is branding and promotional communication specialist. He was formerly managing director, Handicrafts Development Corporation of Kerala Limited, Trivandrum, managing director, Kinfra International Apparel Parks Limited, Trivandrum, professor adjunct, Cochin University of Science and Technology, Dean Management Studies, TOCH Institute of Science and Technology, TIST Kochi, Chief Operating Officer, G1 TV Kochi, Chief of Programs, AsiaNet Communications Limited, Trivandrum, Assistant Professor, Center for Management Development, Trivandrum, and consultant, Kerala Industrial and Technical Consultancy Organizations, KITCO Kochi. He won the Best Upcoming Music Director Award by Radio Mirchi. He visualized and directed many TV programs, mainly game shows and music videos. He authored a book on the veteran music director of Malayalam cinema, Shri K. Raghavan Master, which was published by the Kerala State Chalchitra Academy. He penned articles for magazines such as Malayalam Weekly, Kala Kamundi, etc. Welcome, Dr. Suresh Manimala, on our show. Dr. Suresh, you have already heard what Dr. C.P. Anand Bose, IAS, as well as Mr. Bose Krishnamachari has spoken. Dr. Bose has given his recommendations, brief recommendations, details, as well as Mr. Bose Krishnamachari has raised those problems which he himself faced during his long association in this field. Now, we would like to know from you, art and culture problems and prospects. Dr. Suresh Manimala, please.
Good morning, everyone. At the outset, let me tell you, this is a very serious initiative by, Dr. Ananda Bose coming in as the one-man commission instituted by the government of India. And going by the suggestions he had mentioned here, I think it's very, very significant and important that this is made at least at this juncture regarding a very neglected area of a very important social institution in our socio-cultural sphere. That might address many of the serious issues faced by artists and the cultural scenario of India. And going by what Mr. Bose Krishnamachari has mentioned about his area of specialization and operation, very significant, a person of international recognition and experience. It's of much value in setting up relevant facilities in the country. But everything said and done, I should mention upon, I'm mainly dealing with music, a bit of cinema. Then I had been with artisans. After heading Handicrafts Development Corporation of Kerala, had a lot of my total perception about the artisan and craft scenario in Kerala has changed. So I'll touch upon that also. So basically, looking at the music scenario and related areas, a career as an artist is most desirable in the society, provided you are successful. Especially, there is a big rush to be in movies, in prime music, in a prime position music industry. But how many of them are successful? It brings you money, social status, admiration, recognition, everything. But how many are successful compared to the large number of talented youngsters waiting outside? This is what is to be addressed, probably. Because there is, as you know, Dr. Ananda Bose has said about the registry of artists. No such initiative had been there earlier. An artist, because of his passion, comes into the scenario, try to exist. I'm very careful about that nomenclature. They're trying to exist. It's very difficult. It's a fight. So artists admired But artists who are not successful are not admired by the society. I would like to touch upon the socio-psychological aspects of that. Okay, the financial security and stability of an artist is always in question. Otherwise, you have to be a very successful, film actor, very successful playback singer. Okay. Otherwise, always, it is a bit of a struggle for any artist. The security with which especially the financial security with which they can exist in the society, is a big question. Then this leads to emotional traumas at all stages of the life cycle of an artist. I know so many artists who face this kind of emotional traumas, personality issues, because creative people are generally emotional, they're impulsive, they're dreamy and unrealistic many a time. Their dreams are not generally fulfilled. Looking at the talent pool in India, culturally, the richness of our culture and tradition, I think no other society in the world can boast of this kind of a cultural, a bounty. But are we getting really inspired? Are the youngsters, the next generation, are getting really inspired about our traditions? How many of them really know about it, including our children? How many of them really know about it? Is it not mandatory that our systems, education systems, cultural, social environment, very particular in sensitizing them to who we really are? That is not being done. Okay. So creative people are, I was mentioning about the dreams which are not fulfilled. Okay. The frustration emanating from this scenario really spoils their confidence, personality, family, etc., etc. This insecurity leads to a stage of confusion and self-conflict regarding the desirability of the profession. Should I really opt for a career in arts? How many of them are, especially the youngsters, are confident about opting for a career in art? Our panelist, Dr. Mehta Devi, I would definitely admire her. After being, a rank holder, gold medalist in MBA in Madras University, she had opted for, she's one of the finest exponents of dance in the country right now. And she has opted for this career, stood with it, and become immensely successful. How many of the younger generation, talents are able to do that? Very few, very, very few. And success is not guaranteed. The willingness to learn, train hard, and attain a level of professional excellence, that is also not seen generally. This is seen as a passing attraction, a passing fancy. Many youngsters are more interested in the fame, money aspects of it, which will not come easily. So there is a serious socio-psychological aspects related to arts and culture management in the country. This is one aspect I would like to see. The suggestions regarding the universities, institutes, etc., put forth by Dr. Ananda Bose can help in a great way in addressing these issues as well. Okay? And an artist, a good artist, is to be nurtured by the society. We have seen the history of many artists who have frittered away psychologically, committed suicide. You cannot expect a very normal kind of a personality in a profile from an artist. He has to be nurtured, supported, respected, admired, acknowledged in the society. Unfortunately, the system is not yet ripe for that. But probably the initiatives put forth by Dr. Bose would be a beginning for that. And again, avenues for self-development, that's not also there for the artist now. There is no organized system to promote and nurture or mentor the artist. That is what I was mentioning. Not enough research. We boast of our culture, but how much, research initiatives are there? How much research fund is earmarked for the research in our tradition and culture? Is there sufficient support systems? This also will probably addressed by the new initiative. And again, we'll have to promote, showcase, and market the talents and capabilities of young and upcoming artists. I've seen the tension of the youngsters. Many have, asked me, sir, can there be a future for me? Can anyone assure a future for me? Can anyone assure a security for me? I've seen many really talented artists dropping out in between and opting for mundane kind of jobs like a clerk or going to the Middle East or things like that. Okay, then see, by doing this, we'll enhance the desirability of and the esteem of art as a profession. That is what is required. We'll have to enhance the desirability and esteem of art as a profession. There are so many points to be discussed, but because of want of time, I might limit the discussion right now. And I will have to discuss a few things about artisans also. The registry of artists, the various institutions, or various suggestions put forth by Dr. Bose are really heartwarming. And I would like to discuss with him directly regarding because this cannot be limited to the 15 or 20 minutes of this today's discussion. So I'll definitely like to interact with Dr. Bose more and bring forth more points, my points from my side. And he will, I'm sure he is trying to collect opinions from various segments, experts, experienced artists, and various opinion leaders in the society regarding these things. And again, I would like to touch upon artisans and craftspersons in the society because I had been working in close association with them. I was, overwhelmed by the kind of neglect, the kind of struggle the segment was facing. It's basically based on traditional skills and various precious, intricate. Okay, so, but the next generation, I know the benefits of, I'll come to the next generation, but the benefits from their work, a vast chunk of the benefits from their work goes to the middleman. If there is an idol, Nataraja Vigraha or Ashtanayika on wood, carved intricately, what the real artisan gets is a minimal, paltry remuneration. Even the development institutions like Handicrafts Development Corporation of any other agency right through the country, they just act as marketers, sellers. They add upon 60, 70, 80% as their premium, their margin, and try to sell this. The artisan is always in poverty, distress, insecurity, and their next generation seldom comes forward to join this trade. Because of the insecurity, lack of social status, nobody respects them, always in poverty. So the next generation goes for an ordinary degree, they get some kind of a job, and opt for that. A tradition is lost. A tradition is lost. A lineage is lost. There are so many great artisans in the state where, I know, throughout the country, where their skills find no successes. Okay. It's again, design development, skill upgradation trainings are to be there. I had thought of a craft institute in Trivandrum while I was heading Handicrafts Development Corporation of India, but after, it didn't take shape subsequently. But craft institutes, where craft is taught, the basics of craft, regional craft as well as national, international craft, trends, techniques, etc., taught are to be there. Craft villages are to be there. Dr. Bose has mentioned that in his suggestion, recommendations, I think. Craft villages are to be there. Right now, I'm associated with a craft village which is being set up near Vadakancheri. where pottery is the main theme. Palakkad district, pottery has has an emphasis. And I had been interacting with the artisans there. You have to do things, something for them. So that craft village is being set up there, and marketing avenues are to be there to save these artisans and craftspersons from the exploitation of the middleman. We'll have to set up real professional marketing avenues, real branding initiatives. All these things have to be there. Use of technology to minimize the hard labor in cutting a wood and taking a basic shape. You can use small machines. So all such technology interventions are to be brought in. Then exposure to the crafts and art forms in the rest of the society, rest of the world, interactions with craftspersons from other areas, okay, dialogues, workshops, all these things are to be there, whereby we can improve and enhance their confidence and create a scenario where they exist with self-esteem. And the social security systems Dr. Bose, you had proposed are to be in place. That can be a big first step for improving the scenario. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Dr. Suresh, for giving your views. And Dr. Suresh says that the condition of the artist in India, what we see, is not correct. It's not the real, because the artists who we thought that they are earning money, lots of reputation, etc., they are very few. There is a waiting list of the artists. The talent pool is there, but they are not getting chance. And those artists also, those who are not on top, but other artists, they are also always with a job insecurity, financial insecurity. They don't have, they don't know whether tomorrow what is going to happen, how they are going to place. And that's why the condition of artists are very bad. And according to Dr. Suresh, because the artists are emotional and they require that type of atmosphere, which they are not at all getting. And that's why they are committing suicide. They are mentally very much disturbed, many of them. And this is the reason the art condition of artists in India are very bad. But he is very hopeful. He says that after listening the recommendations what Dr. Bose has given to the government of India, he is hopeful, because he says that is a first step which Dr. Bose has thought of it now, which no one has thought earlier. And he says that there are good measures which they are taking, but still lots of things to be done. And he has also touched upon the conditions of artisans, how the middlemen are making money out of it. The artisan is getting very, very limited money, or the plenty of money. So he says, until unless all those things will not be taken care, it's not possible. Yes, I will add in Dr. Suresh thing. Dr. Suresh, yesterday I had a media conference. The topic was role of youth in art and culture. And the youths, few of the youths have raised this point. They says we want to take art as a career, but our parents are not allowing. Now, this is the answer, because the parents, what they are seeing the condition of today in the society, and when they found that existing artists are struggling, existing artists are not having that good future, how they will allow their children to come in this field. So until unless we will not create that atmosphere in the country, it's not possible to make the new generation to attract, although they are watching the TV serials nowadays and they are very much, they are fascinated by the music shows, the dance shows, etc. But as you have rightly said, how many of them can break the ceiling? How many can reach on that? So that is the thing, which I am sure with the initiative of one-man expert commission, Dr. Bose, once the government will take initiative, once they will set up the art and craft villages and all those things, definitely the change will come. And civil society should also come forward to help the arts and artists for this. Thank you very much, Dr. Suresh, for giving such a thought-provoking thoughts of yours. Definitely, it will also give a food of a thought for our viewers also, as well as for the government. Thank you very much, Dr. Suresh. Now I would like to go to my next panelist, and she is Dr. Maithil Devika. Welcome, Dr. Maithil Devika, on our show. Dr. Maithil Devika is the renowned international practitioner, educator, choreographer, and researcher of dance. She has received national accolades like Ustad Bismillah Khan Yuva Puruskar in 2007 for Mohiniyattam from the Kendra Sangeet Natak Academy, the Devdasi National Award from Devdasi Nritya Mandir, Odisha in 2010, the Kerala Sangeet Natak Academy Award in 2010, and the Nirod Baran Award from West Bengal. Her most recent award is the Madras Music Academy's Best Dancer Award for the Mid-Year Fest 2016 and the MS Subhalakshmi Award. And a great artist of the Doordarshan, Dr. Devika is impelled into Speak Mackay and ICCR Delhi. Dr. Devika received doctorate for her thesis in Mohiniyattam from the Bharati Dasan University on September 2014, where she was confirmed with high honors by the examiner Professor C.V. Chandrasekhar. She worked as faculty at the Department of Postgraduate and Research Studies in Mohiniyattam at the Kerala Kalamandalam University. Dr. Maithil Devika is a gold medalist for MA Dance, Rabindra Bharati University, Kolkata, as well as gold medalist for MBA, Madras University. She has a UGC NET in Dance 2000 and a Ministry of Culture Fellowships in Mohiniyattam. Dr. Devika also received great appreciation for her first attempt in drama scripted by legend Girish Karnad, acting alongside veteran actor Sri Mukesh O. Madhavan. She was recently honored as adjunct professor by York University, Canada, where she works in the Department of Dance as research guide and examiner. She works as adjunct professor Sri Shankaracharya University of Sanskrit, Kaladi in the PG Department of Performing Arts. Dr. Devika is presently based in Trivandrum and has recently conceptualized, directed, and produced a dance documentary called Sarpatavam, or the Serpent Wisdom, which was voted into the contention list for the Oscar Academy Award 2018, and so on and so on. She is such a talented artist, I can say, which we are very happy and privileged to have such type of panel today, right from Dr. C.V. Anand Bose to Mr. Bose Krishnamachari, Dr. Suresh, and Dr. Maithil Devika. Welcome, Dr. Maithil Devika, on our show. Dr. Devika, you have heard what Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, Mr. Bose Krishnamachari, and Dr. Suresh has spoken. Now, we would like to know from you the art and culture problems and prospects. Dr. Maithil Devika, please.
Respected Dr. Damodar Bose and my friend Sri Bose Krishnamachari and Suresh sir and Goel sir. Thank you for inviting me here into this panel. With respect to the profession that I'm working, which is dance, which is like you have so much dance happening in Kerala and India. Yet, the awareness of dance scholarship or dance craft is, I would say, it's probably next to zero, because here dance education, I mean, in terms of training, teaching, in terms of dance performance, entertainment performances, in terms of dances being held in temple festivals or the so-called shows. But the aspect of dance academic and dance scholarship is something which is extremely neglected. It's a nascent new or a nascent field, and people are yet so confused in this particular scenario. I say this because I am one of the pioneer academicians of Kerala, bringing in the first off-campus course into the state. And I got through my UGC in the year 2000, and yet I still am not in a full-time job in Kerala. I had to be invited by Canada York University to be posted there. So which means there is genuinely a lack of information amongst the so-called people here where the postings are all extremely political, and for them, a dancer would be nothing but a star dancer from the film industry. The work that few people like me put in is, I think, it needs an extremely different space. It needs extremely different audiences, and in different venues. So, which is why I'm still, for example, if right now my work is on building up the communication systems of the mute, and a lot of my additional gestures have been adapted by university abroad. Again, a part of my work is also clubbing an art historian's work, a cultural interpreter's work, and an embodied practitioner's work. So where I'm the historian and I'm also the practitioner, and I'm embodying these knowledge systems into my body. So these are all fairly unheard scenarios in the dance scenario here, because the fact that we make dance, I make music, people like us make storyboards, is a rather new scenario. What people here do is maybe take a song, an album song, dance, do a documentation, and that becomes dance. Recently, with my communication with the CM, where there were a lot of people from the artist fraternity, 20 of us were supposed to talk from different fields. And again, 8 of them were from the film fraternity, and 1 from dance, none from fine art, although they were representatives. So this negligence towards dance as a very different field of scholarship is very rampant here in the state. And now, to quote another example, we have Kerala University here. They have theatre department, and it's called the Department of Performing Arts. This being the capital of Kerala, we still don't have a theatre of dance in the Performing Arts department. We don't have a department of dance in the Performing Arts department. So we definitely need to start departments of dances, departments of dance in various universities. We have universities, we have provisions, but unfortunately, the seats are not open, the postings are not open. Then also now there are a lot of students doing postgraduate courses in dance and doing their doctoral programs. And once they finish their PhD, they have nowhere to go. They either set up a dance space in the rooftop of their houses and then start teaching dance, or get into schools as, as salaried dance teachers. But the fact that if I want to do a postdoctoral program, or if I want to apply for a DLIT, there is no such thing. So what happens to our work here on? And that comes to a very important point, because if there are 2 dancers from Kerala who are contributing internationally, the government has no clue even about their names. They don't know my name, they don't know the other person's name, but they'll give you 100 names from the film fraternity. So there is no hierarchy. If you look at even government festivals or tourism festivals where dances are performed, I was a curator last time for Nisha Gandhi Festival. They insisted on film stars again. And what is the hierarchy here? A senior, experienced dancer perhaps gets for a prominent stage, for a government stage, maybe 1.5 lakhs is the maximum. Whereas if you have a film star who's not a creator but just an imitator, would probably get 8 or 10 lakhs. So this kind of disparity has been extremely, extremely disappointing. And I don't think anybody in the state has ever bothered to voice it, or anybody in the state even knows. So our place has to be really defined. Now, if I'm working with York University, Canada, my work has gone to the Oscars. There has been absolutely no publicity regarding it. Now, my next work is on Ahalya, which is again funded by the Canadian Arts Council. So we need funding bodies too. Every time a dancer creates her work, she has to go back into her own funds, she or he, and make the work. So apart from Kendra Sangeet Nataka Academy, or maybe Indian Foundation for the Arts in Bangalore, we don't have sufficient funding organizations. So how do I really churn out productions? So it's important to have a few organizations that can actually provide funds entirely based on the experience and on the proposal that the dancer submits on her work. And that would be great, because this is a know-how that probably is very age bound, is very physical bound. So talking about that, our post 40s, I think post 40s, experienced dancers need to start archiving their work. So my request is there be some kind of archival processes in place. So if I want to archive 70 of my choreographic work, so each of them is probably, it spans 6 to 7 months of work. So if I want to archive 70 of them, who do I run into for funding? So when you don't archive an artist's work, then the artist is gone. So you have an entire knowledge system and an entire cultural preservation scenario gone into thin air. All we have right now on YouTube is dancers dancing to different songs from different albums. Where is their own solo repertoire work? Where are their recitals? So I wouldn't say that we don't have an audience. If you actually deliver, we do have an audience. It's just that the audience, they have generally been, I think they have, not that they are ignorant, they have not seen work. Now, talking about centers, now we have projects where I think the government has projects where they want to build various cultural centers in different parts of the state, which I think is very unnecessary. I would probably say concentrate on 2 or 3 cultural centers and diverge the enormous fund for that into the artist community. Now, we have a lot of heritage spots. For example, in Palakkad, we have Tasrak. Then we have the Tiruvaluthur temple, which is a 2,000-year-old temple. We have the Kachangurushita. We have a lot of ancient sites which can probably, and there are active villages around them. We could actually create a few cultural centers there, maybe even having festivals in the background of these in this architecture, and we have some funds flowing at least once a year into that area. So instead of really building structures and not doing anything to maintain the artists, there's no point in having. Kerala Kalamandalam has around 15 colories, and there are only 7 students. Colories means dancing spaces. So that's a wastage of all those funds. Again, students are there, but then the seats are restricted. So if you have BA dance, you just have 8 seats. So what happens to the students who are studying in Kalamandalam till the age of till 12th standard, and they know nothing but dance? Where do they go? So they only have 8 seats. Where are the others? So, and again, the pension here is only 2,000 rupees for an artist. I must say that that's really, really pathetic. And there must be some kind of, what I feel is some kind of hierarchy in place in terms of artists. How do you do it? Maybe you could do it in terms of the experience that they have, their archival work, the kind of self-productions, self-choreographic productions, their international work, the collaborations. Again, funds for collaborative work. So I for one would collaborate with ritualistic artists or even with contemporary artists abroad. So again, I also feel that there should be an umbrella organization that can perhaps do, an agent like thing, something like a dance, somebody who can organize your dance tour, or once you have a production in place, organize the tour of that production within India and outside. Again, if you have a work, how do you, if I want to study something, if I want to do something, for example, the new mysticism, science is the new language of mysticism, and it's not religion. So when an artist like me wants to do something on epigenetics or neuroscience, and if I want to go to Harvard, who's even going to talk about me and who's even going to give a reference letter? And also the fact that we have IITs, IIMs, and Indian Institute of Sciences, which need departments where you have performing arts or arts. because they are so allied with science also now. I think art and science is just so academically differentiated that if you actually look at it, I mean, there is really not much of a difference. So I remember in an interview when physicians were talking about, the space in terms of Nataraj, and we dancers were talking about Nataraj in terms of Paramanu. So it's how people really envision it from their point of view. So again, we need residencies, we need bursaries. If I want to go and get a skill from Southeast Asia, I need somebody who can actually ensure that I'm traveling securely. I mean, it would be great if I'm backed by an organization, or if I'm backed by the government, where I don't need too much of talking, because every time I apply to a university or apply to a master abroad, now if I want to learn Qigong, when I apply to the master, I need to say so much about myself. Instead, if you have somebody who can do that kind of communication, because honestly, creative people have no time for marketing and publicity. I think if you're really creative, we create and it's there. And the maximum you do is just document it, then you move to the next project. So where does dissemination actually happen? Talking about dissemination, I think even universities should allow for international students to register for the PhD programs. So if I'm a research guide here, I have a couple of international students who would like to actually register for PhD program. And now that our space is so small, given the fact that we can have Zoom links and stuff like that, it is so much easier. We must have international dance summits. In fact, the Dance Binale project I submitted 2 years ago to the PR department here, and it went over their head. So it's not as easy as it seems, because for them, dance is about maybe giving 5 crores to a film star and getting some meager production with a lot of dressed costume changes, and with maybe 20 to 30 dancers on board. Dance has advanced so much from that, and I think this is a very, very rare space that we are in. It's an extremely, our publications, we need people who actually can publish books on dance, instead of us actually going and talking about us, or telling this is what we have. We need art at redressal forums like the internal complaint uh, cells, the ICC, because I know a lot of artists who go through issues with organizers in trying to promote their work. Also, um, also I feel that if we could have some kind of liaisoning with universities abroad, a great deal of collaborative work would be done in terms of academics. Then something else. Yeah, again, art for specific groups like autistic children, prisoners, the community arts basically for the elderly, for the schizophrenic patients, because I've worked in all these domains and I know there is great demand. It's just that I don't have the time to devote to that. So if we could have even courses that are not really performance based but are into these kind of community work, that would be great. And even with I in Taiwan, there was this organization called the Artist Foundation, where they bring in artists from different places. So you have the fine artists, then you have dancers, you have musicians. And then what they do is, these people, they go to the different places there, and they teach their stuff, come back in the evening, and then over the dinner, we are talking about ourselves, and then we're teaching each other our skills. And that's for a period of maybe 5 to 6 months, or how many months you want to, and then they leave, and then this organization brings another group of artists. So what happens is, the people there in Taiwan get a hands-on to different art programs, and I think the artists ourselves, uh, we get great exposure. And I think in India, it's not a very difficult thing to do, considering the fact that we have so many. See, dance is not just about dance. We have music in it. We have sculpture. We have poetry, language, literature, linguistics, even anthropology, research studies. Again, the research work that comes out of these universities is really bad. We need a peer group that can actually review these researches and finalize it before the research comes off. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Devika. And Dr. Devika has given her views. For the paucity of time, I will not be going to summarize now. Now, I would like to ask Dr. Bose. Dr. Bose, you have heard everyone, and although you have already mentioned that what recommendations you have made as far as the one-man expert commission to the government, but would you like to say something about, because after hearing all these experts, would like to say something? Now we have only one minute for each of you. Thank you very much. Dr. Bose, please.
Thank you. It was a great learning experience for me. All the three speakers have given excellent input, some of which will certainly be made recommendations in my report. First of all, I would like to compliment Methil Devika, whose dance performance in the background of Jadayu statue I happened to see very recently. Excellent piece. It shows that she has a mastery over the medium. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
The suggestions which you have given, I have noted it down, and whatever are feasible, most of it are feasible. Some of them are already been covered in the recommendations which is already made. The rest of it, I will try to include. And Sri Bose Krishnamachari has given a lot of ideas. In fact, the question of holding more biennales, I'll discuss with him later. And based on the recommendations which the commission has made, which will be copy of which will be made available to him, he said he will be giving his own proposals. So I look forward to those proposals. And he also suggested that. So now we have only the National Museum in Delhi and a few other museums. Incidentally, I happen to head the National Museum for quite some time. We need more of rural museums and people's museums, yes. I think in 138 crores, India needs more number. Methil Devika said it's not number, that we need numbers with quality. And certainly there should be an expansion in the art institutions in the country. We should also have tie-up with institutions like Metropolitan Museum in New York, Smithsonian Institute, or the Victoria and Albert Museum, or the British Museum. In fact, we do have tie-ups with them, but that has to be augmented if India has reached that international level. Suresh has given a lot of recommendations, mainly. I think the youngsters have to be attracted to the field of art. There are so many who are successful stories, but many who are standing in the periphery. Those people either go to other fields other than art, or that they get dejected. We should certainly have a strategy to nurture, promote the youngsters, to propagate them. And as Methil Devika said, there should be some kind of grading among the artists. She said about the dancer getting 1.5 lakhs on the same place where an actor gets 10 lakhs in public performances. There is a proposal in the recommendations that proper grading of artists has to be done, proper hierarchy has to be established, and they should be treated as professionals. For want of time, I'm not taking much of your time now. Certainly, most of the suggestions which you made here will go into the recommendations. Thank you.
One suggestion, only one suggestion, if you can just briefly say, time is very less, 30 seconds only. Mr. Bose, to the government.
Yeah, I wanted to just say that, we should have production centers, like, for example, if somebody wants to cast something in bronze or any other material, you need to go to, our friend's place in Jaipur, Kovur. There's an artist who runs a residency there, I think, production centers are very important. When I was studying in Goldsmiths College, I could use all kinds of cameras, which was not available at all in my colleges in Bombay or in other places. So these equipments, production funds for students, production funds for artists.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Dr. Suresh, any suggestion? 20 seconds.
Okay. See, I think I cannot limit my suggestions to a single one. Since I'm a multitasking person, I'm into many areas, So I think I'll have to jot down my, suggestion.
Okay.
I will
And
interact with Dr. Bose more
okay,
frequently
okay.
and come forth with my suggestion.
Thank you very
That
much,
will be
Dr.
better.
Suresh. Dr. Devika, any suggestion, one suggestion?
Yeah, where you spoke about our Authority of India and commissions, please ensure that the right people are put there.
No, I'm sure now Dr. Bose is there, so we need not to. And Dr. Bose, I can only say that whatsoever recommendation he's making, generally many of them government is taking, and almost all they are considering, and they are going to be implemented. I'm sure that this today's program. So today, viewers, you have seen how the arts and culture, and especially the artists, are facing problems. And it is not only the government's responsibility, it is the responsibility of the civil society also. We should come forward and see to it what our artists require. And if we will not give to them, how we expect the artists to give us back to the society which they are giving for last so many centuries to all of us. So today's program, which has been live telecasted by V4 News, Global TV, Malnadu TV, V4 Stream, News Gaon se Samvad Saroka News, as well it was shown live on Facebook and YouTube. And our endeavor is to bring to you every day a new topic. And tomorrow our topic is a very, very, very relevant topic and a serious topic. And tomorrow media conference with Lal Goel, the topic is spinal muscular atrophy, symptoms and treatment. Yes, this is a disease called SMA, which is a very, very deadly disease, which is very much prevailing in India, everywhere in the world. So what are the symptoms and treatment for that? And our panelists are Dr. Manish Parekh, Senior Professor of Pediatrics, Dr. SN Medical College and in charge Pediatric Neurology Clinic, MDM and Umaid Hospital, Jodhpur, Dr. Nilufar Sheikh, Pediatrics physiotherapist and trained NDT specialist, Ash Pediatric Rehabilitation Center, Ahmedabad, Dr. Sri Lakshmi Nalam, co-founder and director, patient advocacy, Cure SMA Foundation of India, Hyderabad, and Ms. Anjana Raj, Gujarat State Coordinator, Cure SMA Foundation of India, Vadodara. So please tune in tomorrow for media conference with Lal Goel at 10:30 a.m. Thank you very much, Dr. C.V. Anand Bose. Thank you very much, Mr. Bose Namachari. Thank you very much, Dr. Suresh, as well as thank you very much, Dr. Devika, for joining us and giving your very, very enlightening views. And thank you all the viewers for joining us. Thank you very much.